From an undisclosed location high in the Hollywood Hills, it's time once again for the long shot. Come hell or high water. Tonight's episode: dogs riding narwhals versus cats riding unicorns. And now, please welcome the host of the Long Shot, Sean Conroy. Welcome to the Long Shot. Come Hell or High Water is a podcast. My name is Sean Conroy. I am your host. Good desk. With me today on the show, bicycle in tow, Amber Kenny is here.
Hello.
And of course, the man with the ever-present cigar in case he has to light off dynamite. That's always the cool moment in the movie when the guy smokes hard to get the light up and then...
I wish I had one of the old-timey round black bombs that I could just lift up.
There's a couple of them on the refrigerator behind you. I don't know if you know that.
What are those?
Those have been exploded into my mouth.
Joe Wagner is here.
I feel like my eye bags are getting more noticeable, and I'm not into that.
You know, It's funny. I was just reading a thing about Justine Bateman, who just came out with a book, or is coming out with a book or something called 1 Square Foot of Flesh, and it's about faces and the expectations that people have of women, particularly women in Hollywood, and surgery and so forth, and how age shouldn't be such a bad thing. You know, people like eye bags. She mentioned specifically a couple of famous actresses who had, you know, as they aged, she was like, that looks so fucking cool, you know.
By the way, Justine Bateman, huge 80s crush for me. That was the family ties age, and boy, she just was like I think she, like, if I were 14, I think that was like the senior high school girl that I would want to date, that I wanted to date.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah, she was
inside
pretty
and out.
And she had a cool brother who was a Republican.
He is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Alex P. Keaton, he's talking about.
Oh. Because you know what? I just watched The Brother.
Oh my God. Dude, it was so confused. I'm sorry. Her TV brother, not her real life brother.
And I just saw her real life brother in a movie that I watched last night. That was not a very good movie.
What movie?
I watched Thunder Force.
Boy, it sounds like it was great. I can't imagine that would end up being not good.
It is, as they say, being lambasted. And I watched it, and it's, as a comedy, it's just not very good. But Jason Bateman is in it.
Funny? Is it funny?
There's some funny moments. One of them is specifically a scene between Jason Bateman and
Alex P. Keaton.
Oh my God, what's the name of the lead? She was in Bridesmaids.
Rose Byrne.
Jessica St. Clair.
No,
Maya Rudolph.
Tammy. No. What's her name?
Tammy.
Aaron. No, Aaron. The other one.
Kristen Wiig.
Oh my God. No. And then what's her other big movie? Melissa McCarthy.
Oh.
It's the new
Tammy.
Melissa McCarthy movie. She's made 5. This is the 5th film she's made with her husband, who is a writer and director. And the weirdest
is it easier or harder for him to be a writer and director since she has become so successful?
Well, the weirdest thing is this. There are now 5 films to look at, and there's a pattern of the films that he writes and directs that she's in, and she's always in them. She's the lead. He's never directed anything with anybody else. Are her worst reviewed, worst performing movies.
That's gonna be tough on the relationship.
I don't know how you navigate that. Like, don't
honey, I'm sorry. I know you're eating breakfast, but I did write another script. No.
Yeah, we watched the one that I'm guessing it's one of these 5. It's on HBO. It's like
the one with the James Corden thing, Super Intelligence.
Yes.
Right.
That was like tough to even get through. And she's so charming. And I like
directed it. He directed it. Same thing. Got terrible reviews. It's like And so then I watched this movie, but here's when you know somebody is funny when you're watching a comedy that you're not laughing at. I'm not saying it can't be enjoyed by people, but it was not so much is not landing for me. And then there's a scene with Jason Bateman and Melissa McCarthy, and Jason Bateman is so funny. And I grew up watching him on like Silver Spoons. Like he was a TV sitcom trained young actor.
Have you seen Ozark?
I've heard he's
hilarious in that.
I've heard he's amazing in Ozark, and he directs. Hasn't he won an Emmy for directing Ozark as well? Like he directs. He's like a new Bryan Cranston in that. I don't
keep track of who wins the Emmys, but
right. Anyway, I think he's directed quite a few of the episodes of the show as well. But anyway, he's just a shout out to Jason Bateman for being really funny.
I'm glad we got there.
My friend Tim, one of my best friends, sort of looks like Jason Bateman. And once, this is not my story, but it's worth telling. Once on like Melrose, he saw Jason Bateman in person and he said, "Hey, people always say I look like you." And Jason Bateman said, "Well, that's because you're a handsome fuck." Or so, I might have gotten all of the words wrong, but that's the gist. And I think that's so funny. It's Jason Bateman.
There is a literal wink take that Jason Bateman does to Melissa McCarthy in the movie that is like the one to me, it was the one funniest thing of the movie. Like it's
a classic Bateman wink take.
It's the wink. How many guys can pull off a wink and not feel creepy? He did it, and you're like, whoa, this guy is smooth. This guy's a handsome fuck.
He gets it. He gets it.
I love you, Jason and Justine.
All right. Well, I just want to start. I mean, I know we always start with like checking in. We talk to you guys for hours and hours, and I never really get to say anything. But I was thinking today I could
have control over that.
It's just it always starts and it's like, oh, let's find out what's going on with Amber. Let's find it, and then it just the clock runs out, and
everyone's
I'm like, I like
Sean,
coffee.
Please don't talk.
Yeah.
We don't get the martyr character from Sean that much, but I like when it pops up.
No. I'm just saying, like sometimes the show starts and then it's like Joe for 45 minutes, Amber for 45 minutes,
I'm sorry.
Jamie for
really
45
quick,
minutes.
I'm going to defend myself and Joe and Jamie for a second. So often I give a checking in that's maybe a little bit condensed. You will say, "What else? What else is going on? Is there anything else?" You will make me check in for 45 minutes.
Is that it? Insert whatever you just talked about, but in the most simplified way.
Well, okay.
Oh, so you bought a ball.
It's a ball that changed my life.
Let's just say it's a miscommunication, because when I say what else, I'm actually trying to figure out what else I should talk about, and you take it as like.
And we are always like, and then there is a wall over there, and I also have a bicycle, and I have a friend, and he looks like Justin Bateman, and also.
You guys are like, opportunity, let me in.
No, it's anxiety inducing. This is a good conversation for us to have, because I'm always like, I don't want to talk anymore, but I feel like I have to.
So anyway, my point is, most of the time you guys just totally dominate the conversation, but just for once I thought we could start with
you're totally real
stuff that I did this week, only because I drove across the country. And if you remember, when I drove the other way, I was pulled over by the police twice. So my goal was
zero police stops.
Zero. Yes. My goal was 0. And that was ruined on day 2. I got pulled over on day 2. And it was in Illinois. And it was early in the morning. I'd only been driving for like a half an hour. And I was 100% positive that I was well below the speed limit. So I see the guy by the side of the road. I'm looking at my speedometer. I'm like, okay, I am 10 miles an hour under the limit right now. Even though I'm in the fast lane, I am going slower than the speed limit. I am passing a truck. I'm going to continue to pass that truck. The cop pulls out behind me. He's right behind me. He's following me. I pull over in front of the truck. So now I'm in the slow lane. It's not really the slow lane, but it's the moderate lane. It's the lane you go in when you're not trying to, there's the passing lane, and then there's there's 2 lanes basically when you're going on this highway in Illinois. One is one that you get
it.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a
Please.
highway? What's the difference between a highway and a freeway?
You park in the driveway and
Ask Stephen Wright.
And
Yeah.
the grandfather is the daughter's.
is the doctor.
So then he's following me. He pulls up. So now he's in the fast lane. He pulls up. He's right next to me. And I'm like, I'm not even going to look at this guy because there's no reason for him to pull me over right now.
Be cool.
And I can see, like, let's say I'm him, right? So you guys are in the slow. It's not the slow lane. It's the.
God, please don't do this.
Are we starting to do improv space work on this
So
podcast?
so you guys are me and I'm him, and I can see that he's like looking over at me from his. He's looking over.
Maybe he wants to do like a Jason Bateman wink.
No, nobody can pull off the classic wink take.
Bateman wink.
So I'm like, I'm just not. I'm sipping my coffee. I'm not looking. He comes behind me, pulls me over. Right?
Not allowed to drink and
No drinking and driving. No, I'm like, what the fuck? I was so pissed.
Right.
And he comes over. And he's like, I forget how the whole conversation went, but he basically goes, when you pass that truck, I don't know if it was a gust of wind hit you or something, but your tire went a little bit onto the yellow line in the middle of the road as you were passing. And that's not allowed. You're not allowed to drive on the median, apparently. So.
But in explaining that, he was also
giving you an out.
Explaining why it could have happened that would have been out of your control.
Correct. So he goes, I need to run your license and make sure you don't have any problems. Could you come with me and sit in my cruiser, please, sir?
No.
What?
Yes. And
the fuck?
So in my head.
Is he just bored? Like, what the fuck is going on?
In my head, I'm like, this is not allowed. You can't do that. You can't tell somebody to just get out of their car and get into the police car.
No, I mean, if you're arrested, that's one thing.
Right. But
that's Aaron lonely.
He's looking for me to say shit. You know what I mean? Like if I go,
he wants to have a fight with you.
If I go, I'm not getting in your car. All of a sudden there's a problem. And now he can escalate things. Yeah. And so I was like,
he just wants a fight.
So I was like, absolutely. Let's go. So I walk over to his cruiser and he gets in the front seat and I'm like, front or back? He goes, get in the front. So I get in the front with him.
Why?
It's insane. It is.
This is the craziest thing I've ever heard
in my head.
life.
I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Is he going to kiss
you? So yeah, exactly. Like, and also I was like, are we just going to drive away? Are we going to take off and go to the fucking jail right now?
I've not seen this. I've not seen this movie, but I think I know the search terms to look it up.
Mm-hmm. So he runs my license. And of course, it's completely clean because I've already talked my way out of 2 tickets on the way to New York.
Right.
Hells yeah.
Comes back clean.
And it's like, there's a pandemic going on. Please sit as close to me as possible.
It makes no sense. But so here's where it gets even weirder.
Masked? Is he masked?
He's masked.
Okay.
And he goes, so what were you doing? I said, well, I had to go to New York for a while. And he goes, why didn't you just fly? Which made me think about flyover country, which I thought was kind of funny. Yeah. So I said,
this is a cop who has stopped you to have a conversation.
Just wait. You wait.
This is insane.
He goes, yeah. I said, I didn't feel comfortable flying because of all the COVID stuff. He starts telling me about his friend who was dying of cancer in the hospital, and he could not visit his friend in the hospital because of COVID, and how upsetting that is, and how awful it was. I mean, this is a 25-minute conversation, not even a conversation. This was a monologue about how difficult, because his friend died of cancer, unfortunately, and he did not get to go see him to say goodbye. He could only talk to him on Zoom, which I
Men
definitely
will do anything to not go to therapy.
I definitely felt sorry for him, but I was like, what am I doing here? Like, this is crazy. So he's telling me, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this is because he didn't say this, but I was like, he said his friend was in his 40s. And I'm like, this guy is probably 30. His friend was probably another cop on the force that he looked up to, who got cancer and was dying. And who was he going to talk to? Other cops on the force?
No, they would call him gay for having feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So here I am.
Toxic masculinity. It's painful for everyone.
Illinois, pulled over to have a half-hour conversation with this guy about his friend who died.
By the way,
I'm like, I just want to get back to Los Angeles.
That is literally the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
By the way, where the rest of the country goes, that's where all the weirdos are. No, they're out in Illinois. Lonely cops in Illinois are the weirdos that you don't know about.
I really did feel bad for the guy, but I was also like, how did I get stuck in this situation?
What that made him think, goal? Oh, was he like, yes?
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, I don't think. I think it was just a situation where it was like preparation meets opportunity. Like, he wanted to fight. He wanted me to fight him so he could arrest me, and I wouldn't do it. And then he was like, "Wait a minute,
I still have these feelings."
Okay. Yeah, it brought something up. Sean, I'm going to go off of a detail that you mentioned before. That he pulled up in that position to actually
winked at you,
and he did not. We don't know if he winked, but he did.
No, he did.
He did kind of check.
He winked on the wrong. He can't do the Bateman wink take because he winks on the wrong. He winks with his left eye, and I only see his right. You know,
it seems like I think that he checked you out physically first, and I'm only saying that in the sense of
no. I think there was a different reason for that.
No, but not in an attractive way, but in an appealing way. As far as, is this a guy? I think there's something specific about your look that I think that he's. I think that
here's why I think this is why he pulled up next to me and looked, because he did say, he was like, your car went onto the yellow line. Have you been drinking? And I think the reason he pulled up next to me was to see if I was under the influence in any way. I think he even said, "Are you under the influence in any way?" And I was like, it's 7:30 in the morning, so it's not out of the question. But in this case, no.
I'm just wondering if there was anything about you physically that allowed him to feel more comfortable talking to you.
About this guy has a big dick.
No. I mean, yes, we know you're a gorgeous, godly fuck, but I mean, like, again, if we're trying to figure out what compelled the guy in that moment to like that
I think he didn't even
that you were that guy.
I think he didn't even get to that point until we were in the cruiser. Like, once I was amenable to going to the cruiser, we're sitting in the police vehicle. He's got nothing. He can't write me a ticket. So he goes, let's have a conversation. Yeah.
But I still can't get the part that I'm bumping up against is why he asked you to sit in the cruiser.
Yeah. Like I said, I really think that was a provocative question. Like, that was to get me to say,
you were supposed to say no so he could punch you or whatever.
Right.
Well, and then the intimacy of two people in a car.
But why couldn't you be in the back?
Conversation.
Yeah. Well, and you're supposed to, when you arrest someone, there's no reason to put them next to you because that's how they have access to you.
I think he truly wanted to have the feeling of a conversation with the other person who's supposed to be sitting alongside him.
How did this conversation end? Like,
he gave me a warning, a written warning. Like, he printed out a thing from his computer saying, you have a written warning.
Watch out for cancer.
But this is the best.
I have feelings.
This is the best part of the warning thing.
Cops have feelings too.
He goes, just so you know, this will not give you any points on your license. This will not apply in any other state. Nobody will know about it unless you tell them you got a warning in another state.
What?
And the best part was, he goes, so this will only apply in Illinois, and you are 14 miles from the border. So I think this is not gonna, like, in other words, I was so close to leaving the state anyway. Like, I don't know if that was something where he has a quota of stuff he has to do by the end of the month or something, or the middle of the month, or what day was it?
Like,
the beginning of the month.
I gave a written warning to somebody.
Right.
And now I get bonus or something. I don't know.
Sean, you were masked.
I was.
So all he's seeing are your eyes.
What's weird was I was wearing a Jason Bateman mask. So
all he was seeing was your eyes. So I've got to think that there was the combo of toughness and vulnerability that this guy, he went from let's see if this guy will fight me to I'm going to open up to this guy.
Yeah, toughness and vulnerability. That's why I should be a bigger star. I'm not Eastwood. I am Steve McQueen. I should be.
That's why I should be a bigger star.
Welcome back to Hollywood, friend.
Wait, it's not over. This story is not over.
No, I'm just saying.
I mean, just in a
back
larger
into
sense.
the right Hollywood thinking of like, yeah.
Right.
Did you guys exchange digits or anything?
Well, no. The problem then is, so now I've been pulled over 3 times, and there's not a cop car style anymore. There are there are SUVs that are cop cars with flat lights that you can't see, which I have encountered. There are like Chargers that are cop cars. So all of a sudden I felt like as I was driving, I had just turned into fucking Hunter S. Thompson. Like, I was just looking in the rearview mirror going like, is that a cop? Is that a cop? Is there a cop behind me? Is there a cop?
And you're literally doing nothing wrong.
Under the speed limit, doing nothing wrong, not on drugs,
sweating bullets,
paranoid for the rest of the trip.
You start to look for where they're going to be parked, because they do hide. Like, I always thought that was just.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. And the problem is I don't see them. Like, even when I'm looking, I don't see them.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that motherfucker was right there the whole time.
Yeah, that's what they want, though, right? They want you scared.
It worked, man. I got that warning. I had 14 miles left in Illinois, but I still had 2,000 miles left in the country, and it applied the whole way. So anyway, I get back here. I'm in
Los Angeles, California.
Welcome back.
I'm on the 101, getting closer and closer, and I'm like,
traffic is back, baby.
No, but I was like, I did it. I made it all the way without getting pulled over again. I'm all the way.
No.
And I get to Melrose.
Oh my God.
No.
On the 101.
Are you effing kidding me?
Coming up behind me is a cop car. And I was like, I don't believe this shit.
Like, what could you have been doing?
Well, as it turned out,
that means Sean's literally about 15 minutes away from his place.
Not even 15 minutes. I would say
10.
7 minutes. I was less than 3 miles from my house.
Yeah, I mean, this is it.
And he goes past me. He's not pulling me.
Oh.
He goes past me, and then another one comes past, and they get one car in front of me, and they do that thing that I've only ever seen. It probably happens in other places too. They start driving back and forth and slowing everybody down to a dead stop. I've been on the road for 10 hours on my 4th day after.
And you're 2 miles away.
So fucking close. And
this
traffic
is like edging.
Dead
driving,
stop.
Edging.
Dead stopped. And I was like, you have got to be joking me, teasing me, fucking with, like, Josh. I don't know. I was so we're sitting there for 10 minutes, just stopped on the highway.
That's too long.
And nobody knows what's going on. The cops have pulled, 200 yards away, and there's 3 of them now parked across the highway.
Eating sandwiches.
Right.
Meatball
did you hear about Gary?
classic.
He's got cancer. We can't go visit him. He's in the hospital,
He's
but we can
mess.
Zoom with him. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, you catch that Bateman wink last night? One funny part of the movie.
I saw the name of the movie, Thunder Force. I thought this ain't going to be funny, but that wink killed me. So finally, 2 motorcycle guys come up, just like messengers, and it was really funny because they both came right to the front. I don't know that they were messengers, but they both had like bags on their back.
Pull out like trumpets or something.
But what was funny was one of them lifts his helmet, and then the other one lifts, or his visor. Other one lifts his visor, and then they touch fists, like, Yeah, bro.
Boo!
Oh my God. Like it's chips or something.
So the exit is not that far. The exit is between us and the cops. So the two motorcycles go up the exit onto Melrose Avenue. Or I guess it was Western. Who the fuck cares?
Right. That's even closer to your house.
But they go up and do it, and there's like a beat. Everybody kind of looks around. And then there's just a fucking mad dash by all the cars to the exit. And I get off and I'm like, okay, I was going to go to the supermarket so I've been on the road for so fucking long and I'm so close to my house. And I'm like, I have no food at home. I know I need to get food. I'm going to go to the market right by my house. Oh, no, wait, there's another one on the way. I can stop at the fucking whatever the place is called on Western and Hollywood.
Oof, that one's...
Exactly. I had not been there. I had not been there in over a year.
Oof.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a rough...
It's a Ralph's, yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So
even
I get in
parking
there.
Is like...
Right.
Yeah.
You have to go down inside.
Now, by the way, the supermarket we're talking about, I've had a few different friends talk about seeing fights there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to live right up the hill from there, and I would always see what I always assumed was members of the Armenian mafia hanging out at the Starbucks down there. It was always like a bunch of 25 to 35-year-old guys in sweatsuits and chains. No offense, Joe, smoking cigars that were too small for their bodies.
I have been spoken to in Armenian on walks through Little Armenia.
Yeah,
I've been taken.
So I go into the supermarket. I get everything I need. It's unpleasant. I get to the line. There's too many people waiting online.
Plus, you've gone from driving no people to supermarket people everywhere.
Yes.
Except for
but also it was like so crowded
Except
on the
for
road.
a one-on-one with a cop in his car.
It's all crowded in the supermarket. Yeah. There's a guy in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Huge amount of stuff in his cart. I definitely have more than 20 items, so I can't go to the express lane. The express lane is open over here. There's 20 items. I definitely have more than 20 items. He has a huge thing, and I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to wait behind this guy. It is what it
is, yeah.
You're not a self-checkout guy?
I don't like the self-checkout, honestly. Yeah. I really don't, because something always doesn't work, and I lose my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what is the point of this if I have to call you over?
Right.
And
and there are people waiting behind you. The worst part, they're waiting. Yeah. Right. Why did this guy fuck it up?
And you're just like throwing stuff in the bag like the worst way.
I don't even know which side the bag goes on and which side the food goes on.
Right.
It's like, please place your thing in the baggage area, and I'm like, which side is which?
And no greater moment than when you set off a supermarket's alarm as you're leaving, and you're like, wait, I don't know if I'm stealing or not.
So this guy's unloading his cart. And all of a sudden I notice that I am in the express lane as well. There's 2 express lanes. And there's another lane open further down, which is even more crowded because but this guy has, 100, I'm estimating, this is a guesstimate. But I'm going to guess he has 100 things in his cart.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, why is he, then I see a woman goes to a guy who's standing in the front who's got like a managerial look about him. And she goes, excuse me, there are 2 lines open that are express lanes. And there's only 1 line that's not express. Could you open another? And the guy just goes, go to whichever one you want. It doesn't matter. And I was like, oh, okay, I can stay here.
Right. Why love that?
Yeah. So the guy is unloading his thing.
There's some benefits to being in like a completely chaotic.
Yeah, right. But the guy's so he's putting all his stuff on the thing, and then he pulls out the blocker thing, and he puts it in the middle of his groceries. And I realize
he's doing 2 different.
But he's not. He's not doing 2, and he's not doing 3. He's doing 4 different transactions. So on the one hand, technically he's kind of obeying the rules,
right.
None of those are more than 20. There may be a little bit more than 20 items, but on the other hand, And I'm sure this guy is working. He's like doing Instacart or something. So he's
right.
But that means he has to take every bag and label it and make sure everything is right in it. It just, I could not fucking believe it.
That's
and I already fucked up the story because I left out the person in front of him who was an older woman of a portly physical nature who realized she had forgotten something while she was checking out and just tottered off back into the store for 10 minutes looking for whatever the thing was.
This sounds like the Vons in my neighborhood. The Vons in my neighborhood, it's crazy. It's like, it's become, we don't even go there anymore. It's become like a joke between Jeff and I. Cause like, no matter what time of day you go, there is a line of 15 people and the person in front of you is like, I want to pay in Confederate money, or like, I want to return this fish. Like, it's always something completely.
Do you take base script from Fort Bragg?
It's
Amber, do you guys go up to the one on Sunset?
I don't do anything. I have anxiety, but I think Jeff.
Which one?
I think Jeff goes to.
Which one?
Jeff goes to Burbank. I think he just where it's easy parking, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that does make a huge. So anyway, this guy takes forever, gets his stuff. I get my stuff. I get in my car. I drive up home. I get home. Now,
finally,
I don't remember where we were when I left, but I had sold my car to one of my neighbors and gotten a new car. My mother got rid of her car, so I had her car shipped to LA. So I have her car now, which is what I had driven to New York and back. And I had gotten rid of my Toyota Corolla.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay.
So, and I got a great deal on the car from my mother.
That's great.
She's not a crafty, she didn't try to rip me off, you know? But, and I had it, well, that was a whole other complicated story of having it shipped out here on a truck.
Like a memoir.
Right. But anyway, I get home and my neighbor has not removed my old car from my parking spot. It's still in my fucking parking spot. And I'm like, what the fuck?
This is like the final indignity.
No, it's not. It's not the final indignity.
No, I'm saying, but I know, Sean, there's more, but I'm saying of literally the drive. You cannot, the final part of the drive.
You can't even get out of your car.
So anyway.
And
it wasn't even that I couldn't park because I could, but I was
go in the guest park.
Furious of like, what the fuck is the whole point was to not deal with it anymore, you know? Right. And I actually saw her this morning and she was like, I'm so sorry. I should have moved it. But and I was like, oh my God. So anyway, what I did do was plan ahead enough to have a cleaning person. So I'd been away for 3 months. My apartment has been completely unoccupied for 3 months.
3 months is a long time.
Yes. So I had a cleaning person come the day before I got back to just like get shit together.
Not smell weird.
Right. Exactly. Like open the windows.
You don't have to do the classic like there's a spider web that you have to
There's definitely spider webs. There's dust. There's just a million things to deal with that I didn't want to deal with. So I walk in. This is the note on my kitchen table.
No, 7 years ago.
Yeah, that's
Hi, Sean. Hi, Sean. Not to make you feel bad, but you need a lot of attention to your. I don't think this person knew that I had not been home. You need a lot of attention to your home. So since it was my first visit, I had to choose my battles and how much time to spend on them. I ran out of the awesome spray. I don't even know what that is. And almost out of paper towels. So not everything was finished in the kitchen. It just needs more time, but it's a start if you would like for me to come back and pick away at stuff. So anyway, that was what I walked into.
That's a little shaming. That's a little shamey. It's a little
not to make you feel bad. Yeah.
But your house is gross.
Yeah.
But I was not able.
I'm a professional cleaner and I'm a
detail person. Yeah. Like I'm not going to come in and wave my hands. You know, I really paid attention. Unlike some people. So anyway, that was my trip, and I'm back.
Oh man.
When did you get back?
And then your internet didn't work.
And today,
just to remind you,
today I had to get my internet back on, which is a whole other fucking nightmare. And I don't need to go into details of that because I feel like everybody has had that experience where you're just going in circles of like, just sign in. And then it's like, that's not right. Change your ID. Right. That's not right either. Give us the previous one so we can change it to a new one. Nope. Sorry, not right. But anyway, it all ultimately worked out. Except there's still a lot of stuff that I have to fix because one of the problems is my internet account and my phone account are on the same account. They're both AT&T, but anytime I go online, anytime I go inline, it just goes to my phone. It won't show the internet account, and they're like, yeah, we don't know why that is. I'm Jay in Tulsa, and I don't know why it's doing that. I'm not sure what to tell you.
I hate that. I hate
that, but I need to fix it.
When you go to somebody and they're like, wow, I've never seen this before. And I'm like, cool.
You're a brand new
glitch.
Neither have I. Yeah. I only see one every 10 years. You see several a day, don't you?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the worst way of being told, you're very special.
Oh, my God.
This is really fucked up.
But... So it took me because in my head, I was like, I'm 3 miles from my house. I have 10 minutes left. It took me another 2 hours to get home from there, which is so LA to me. Like, that's so like, I was like, I'm back, baby.
It greeted you.
Exactly.
It let you know, hey.
Come home, Sean.
And I will say it was Friday. It was special. Like Friday afternoon-ish, early evening. And it was like, it felt like LA was in full fucking swing. Yep. You know, there was no like, everybody's out on the road. Everybody's doing their thing. There's nobody staying home anymore. So anyway, here I am. Now, I said to you guys, and I know you guys want to get into your stuff. You always go on and on about, whatever. But
blah, blah, blah.
Before
jibber jabber,
we get into that, I thought I could read a couple of mailbag.
This is it.
Mailbag letters, emails.
This is the first mailbag episode of
messages.
I'm only going to read a couple, but we do have a mailbag, so people can send us mailbag at thelongshotpodcast.com is our email address, as far as I know. It might not be, but I hope it is. So anyway, here's the first email that we got, and it is from, let's see who it is. April, maybe. What does that say? Yeah, April, I think. Okay. Oh no, I lost it. Sorry, I'm using my I have a lot of different technical devices.
Is it going to your phone?
Okay. We've says,
never seen this before.
Long delayed thank you note. Hi. First off, let me just say how excited I am that you guys have an official email and that it's actually been repeated in 2 episodes so far. Now, this was sent a while ago, so we have repeated it maybe a couple more times since then.
I like that she's complimenting our promotion, though.
Yeah, that's good. I always
it's positive, like
feedback.
We need it. We need it.
Yeah. Like because we do need it because we always think like, who gives a shit? Nobody cares, but people care. They do care. They want to go like, hey guys, thanks for giving us your email.
Thanks for giving us
sincerely.
The correct email.
Yeah, sincerely.
And in this case, thanks for saying it again. You repeated it. Yeah. It wasn't a one and done.
I always wanted to write and definitely wanted to send a note your way before what was meant to be the first episode, but I couldn't find the email address anywhere and spent way too much time scouring Twitter, etc., and fast forwarding through the penultimate episode because I could have sworn Sean mentioned it at some point. Maybe, who knows? I'm a longtime listener, the Eddie days. I think I started around 2011 or 2012 when I was in university and was feeling super lonely and isolated.
British.
I think you're right. I had a long period of feeling pretty bummed out on a daily basis. Is this a cop, by the way, in Illinois? I remember being on a bus full of students.
He had been a Lojopo fan.
I remember where was I? Oh, I remember being on a bus full of students going home at night, feeling like I couldn't relate to any of them, but having your podcast in my ear and laughing out loud. Now that I think about it, maybe that was why I never made any friends. Maybe I was the crazy bus girl. Either way, the feeling of companionship made all the difference. I've listened to the Long Shot through a lot of tough years, multiple moves across Canada, demeaning office jobs, intense loneliness and social anxiety, my mom's breast cancer diagnosis. She's okay now. Long-term singlehood. I'm talking long-term. Moving back in with my parents, a lot of self-doubt, family stuff that I won't go into, intensely horrible online dating experiences. It wasn't all bad, of course, but you really helped brighten some dark times.
Aww.
Discovering that you guys decided to cancel the cancellation of the podcast was the bright spot in my COVID lockdown life. And I want to thank you for being so genuine and just all around great. Things are far from perfect now, but I am very happily married. My husband and I moved into our own place last year and got an intensely fickle yet low maintenance rescue dog who keeps us company.
Jealous.
Turns out I still don't have that many friends, though. So good thing the podcast still exists. Smiley face. Thanks again. You have a dedicated listener for as long as you decide to continue. April. P.S. Congrats to Jamie's parents on their new pool table.
Hey.
And she actually attached several pictures of herself and her husband.
And what is her first name? Is it
April?
April. Thank you.
And her dog is in the pictures as well.
Thank
and
you
her husband
so
looks
much.
very happy to be with her.
We may have done a good thing by keeping her company in university, but we also may have alienated her from other people.
She was the weird girl on the bus. Yeah.
It raises a little question here. Do you guys think that you have to have a certain amount of friends?
No, I've actually talked about this, not to brag, with my friend. And
so you have at least one.
I have one. But I think I'll use I statements. I know I am constantly watching movies and TV shows and seeing how friendships are portrayed, and you have these like 5 people that are your best friends that you hang out with every day, but then you also have this giant group of people that are for like bigger events. And I think as much as the media makes romantic relationships complicated because it's not how it goes, I think the same can be said for friendships. I think friendships are very unique and very dependent on the individual. And if you have one amazing friend, you're doing great. And
what if you have 7 and they're all kind of shitty?
Well, but or you have I think the other thing that has tripped me up is that in TV shows and movies, it's like you have these 5 friends and they all hang out together all the time. But like,
it's like on that show,
Frasier.
People who know each other.
How I Met Your Mother, yeah.
But like a lot of my very best friends aren't necessarily friends with each other. Like I have an individual relationship with each of them, and it's not like we're all hanging out in a group hugging. And I wrestled with that for a really long time until I was like, oh no, this is great. And it's how it's supposed to be. And TV shows do that because it's easier to write 5 characters over and over and over again in the same
Imagine a show where it's just one person, but they're affiliated with several other people.
But like that's
like 100 episode characters.
But that's not how human relationships work. It's just how writing a TV show works.
Dramatically interpreted.
Yes.
Human relationships.
TV. So you're saying TV is not real life?
Oh boy.
No, unfortunately. I'm like just learning that.
If you're in university right now, we just blew your mind.
But what do you guys think about friendships?
Well, I just brought it up because I noted how she mentioned it, like both from her formative crazy girl on the crazy bus girl years to now. And I think one of those things, as maybe you learn in life as you grow up, is like, I was always open to making friends. I never thought of it as like, do I have enough friends or I have too few friends? I mean, I think everyone has a moment of like, oh, I wish I had been invited to that party, especially now with social media. Like everyone has that, but I think it's good to remind yourself of like kind of what you're saying, Amber. I don't think you ever have to, don't try not to go to that place of like, do I have enough friends? If you have friends, you have friends. The answer to the question is answered, you know, I mean,
and it's quality, not quantity.
It's quality, not quantity, for sure.
Quantity helps though. If you can look at other people and go, I have more friends than you, that feels pretty.
I'm better than you.
By the way, some people need 20 friends. Some people need 2. It's all of who you are. And you're the crazy bus girl. And it sounds like you found a friend and
well, you have your husband.
Yeah,
you have at least one good friend.
They might not be friends though. Who knows what that relationship
I hope so.
Frenemies.
Yeah.
I hope so.
April, blink twice in your next email.
Also, you've always got a friend in Jesus.
You know. We all have one.
No, I've been thinking about it too, because I, went back east for several months.
It's been an old friend kind of year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it has, because I went up to Idaho for a month with one of my friends from college and spent a lot of time there. I have spent time talking to my friends from college on the phone,
right.
A regularly scheduled thing, which has had its ups and downs. It's been great and supportive, but there's also the thing of like, how about we don't talk about buttholes today?
Are we for them or against them?
I just did 2 hours of dick and balls on my podcast. So,
right. But then while I was in New York, I also,
you had that college friend that you tried to take all the money from.
the guy I tried to ask for money.
You tried to swindle.
I tried to extort. Yeah. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. I wanted to let you know about a wonderful project I have in the works, and if you'd like to help me out with it, what an opportunity for you. What a wonderful opportunity. I mean, it's going fast. You might want to get it on the ground floor, because if you don't, it's going to go straight to the top.
Here's this.
But yeah, so that guy I got to see. I got to see a couple times, which was great, because again, I think one thing that gets in the way, at least for me, and I don't know if this is excusable, I think it is, even in the internet age, but just geography, just being around people, people have lives, they have kids, they have stuff to do. And so not being close by can make it more difficult. I mean, this is a different issue because I'm talking about sort of falling out of touch with people. But
in LA, we've all been here long enough to know that in LA, if you have a friend move to a certain neighborhood, you're probably to Santa Monica, the west
You'll
side.
never see them again.
You will generally see them now maybe once a year, if that.
Or even like if you're dating somebody, you're like, this is no, you live there? No way.
What are you going to do?
But so I saw that guy. I saw my best friend from high school, who I have not seen in a long time. I mean, I really thought about that a lot, because I was like, why did we sort of lose track of each other? And I think it was, I think both of us had a lot of personal shit going on in our lives right after we got out of high school. And that meant that it was just too hard to keep track, which I feel sad about, but it was great. We had breakfast together on Easter Sunday up in like in a park by the Hudson River up in Peekskill, which is a beautiful town up north from where my parents live. So that was great. And then my childhood best friend came down and visited one day.
Really going backwards in time.
It was, I got to see so many of these guys for the first time in a long time. And another friend who I've been friends with for 25 years or whatever, from the first improv group that I formed in New York, who was in Chicago City Limits with me, who came to visit me when I was isolating at the hotel I was staying at in Nersha. We went out to a park and walked around, and it was just so great. And yeah, it's I guess because I was home for stuff that was a little difficult, it was also a bit of an emotionally raw time. I mean, I was looking for police cars to get in so I could have conversations about stuff, and they were hard to come by,
So thank God your childhood friends showed up.
Yeah, it made a difference,
Sean's like, that Jesus is your friend, officer.
Yeah. Anyway, April,
April,
thank you so much.
consider us and Jamie four of your friends. You have 4 more friends. Thank you for that very much.
We are your friends.
We're your friends. We're your podcast buddies.
And I will say this is I mean, all kidding aside, this is a thing that I look forward to every week, is catching up with you guys. Not because we're friends, but we know each other a little bit, you know.
Well, we just go on and on and on.
Oh, wow. Let's not get into you guys. Thank God Jamie's not here, because that guy never shuts the fuck up.
As podcasters, we're essential workers in Los Angeles.
That's actually true.
Okay, here's another email from.
Yes.
I can't tell if it's the LA Lunatic or the La Lunatic or let me just read it. It says
the Lunatic or the Los Angeles.
The subject is Hell or High Water. It says, "Dear Lo Shopo, thank you for coming back. In all honesty, I jumped out of my seat when I saw that."
Aww.
Whoa.
Oh, sorry. I jumped out of my seat when I saw that not only were you guys back, but now on screen too. Why weren't you guys doing that the whole time?
By the way, this person strikes me a bit as a lunatic. They jumped out of their seat.
Well, I could answer that question right now, because we would do it in person and the video wouldn't look like anything. You'd see mostly the back of our heads because we're around a round table.
We'd have to have a motorized camera in the middle.
Like that 70s show.
Yeah.
I do think when we start meeting in person again, which who knows if that'll ever happen, we should get a drone to fly around over us.
I mean, yeah, the sky is blue.
Okay, so over the years, I've written a few emails. Mostly they were to praise you guys. Thank you for that. But I also realized that I felt... Well, this is what he says. But I also realized that I felt entitled to make pronouncements about you all and your different skill sets. I wanted to apologize for feeling like it was my place to do that. The bottom line is you guys make a fantastic podcast, and it is really needed during the pandemic. From now on, when I email, I'm going to try and learn. So here's a question. What do you all think about cancel culture? It doesn't really feel like there's any censoring revolution happening to me. Just people pointing out more and more when things are sexist and racist. But I have a hard time arguing that with people sometimes. Can you all help me add to the substance of my argument? And
yes, I can.
No worries if you all feel differently. Best, Eben.
What a sweet email.
There's a PS, but I won't get into that until we talk about the cancel culture
So
thing.
I agree with you. I don't think cancel culture is real. I think that free speech exists and it continues to exist, but not in a vacuum where there aren't consequences to what you say. So you're allowed to say whatever you want to say, but then people can decide that they don't like what you said and no longer support you financially or on social media or whatever. That is not cancel culture. Also, all of the canceled comedians are still making money, making more money than ever. Like it's a misnomer. It's almost something that they like to have to feel.
It's a badge of honor.
Yes. And
you can actually even make more. Here's the fucking gross twist. You can even make more money off of that branding.
Totally. And
maybe we should try to get canceled.
Cancel culture is something that liberals do in this world, in this definition. But the Dixie Chicks were canceled by...
Are you talking about the Chicks?
Well, now they're the Chicks, but before they were... When they were canceled because they spoke out against the Iraq War, they were canceled by right-wing Republican people. So people are entitled to not support someone if they don't like their politics or their values or their belief systems. It doesn't mean that there is censoring coming from on high. And guess what? I think that maybe being more aware of racism and sexism and homophobia, like that's a positive. We are becoming at least more aware that missteps can happen. do I believe that people should be able to have the opportunity to learn from their mistakes and grow and not always be held to something they said 10 years ago? Absolutely. But I don't think that is a thing that is happening. What do you guys think?
Well, I think that was an excellent response. I don't have to add anything to it. The only thing I wanted to say to Ethan was apology not accepted.
Eben.
Oh, Evan. Sorry, Evan. Apology not accepted.
Canceled. Joe, you're canceled.
But I think Amber's absolutely right, and I think she gave you a lot of good ammunition.
Yeah, Amber's good. I like Amber's thing.
Yeah,
I say that too. I say Amber's thing.
Wait, what do you think, Sean? I'm curious.
I think that the existence of social media has made it easier to hold people accountable, which is good. People should be held accountable for what they say. I do think, and I don't have specifics on this, I do think sometimes it can go like the pendulum can swing too far in the other direction.
Totally.
But I think
I think people sometimes get addicted to being outraged. I have seen that where it's like they're looking for it.
Yeah. And that's a thing, like, especially on Twitter, but also on Foursquare.
But I don't see anyone's livelihood being super affected.
I think it's one of those cases where there's a very, very vocal minority of people that believe that you should throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Right.
And the bathwater, there's so much dirty bathwater that can actually be looked at. And I just wanted to throw this actually on because to our fans.
Is this you going to agree with Amber again?
No. I'm going to actually say the next time you talk to somebody who brings up this subject,
just punch them.
Ask them if they're concerned about the censorship of the last administration changing CDC language or guidelines. That is the kind of dangerous censorship that if you care about Louis C.K. being canceled, well, why don't you care about something that is actually much more vast in scope and has... So
you're saying what about?
On a society. No, I'm saying it is a little whataboutism, but what because it's distinguishing the reality. As Amber pointed out, cancel culture doesn't mean that the next day an entertainer becomes a homeless bum. It doesn't happen like that. That's not what's happening to people who get canceled. They continue working. They many times they keep making money. Same thing in terms of so you have to look at the reality of the effect. There's a lot of talk about how conservative students aren't allowed to speak, aren't allowed to express themselves on college campuses. If you read a little bit about it, there's actually far-right groups that are working much harder on college campuses to stifle any kind of, left-leaning speech. You want to talk about censorship?
They want people to stand up straight.
It is actually happening. In many specific ways. You don't have to go look for it or make something up. It's happening, and it's being done by a lot of people on a particular side who want to keep the status quo. So if you want to take censorship seriously, look at some of that stuff that's happening rather than whatever the newest flare up on Twitter is.
Well, I know
that's more
a big
of a marketplace driven thing.
Right, and I know the big one that I hear recently is, Dr. Seuss got canceled. What's next? Dr. Seuss didn't get canceled. The publisher decided that 3 of the books had racist imagery, and they decided not to keep publishing them.
That is your interpretation of what
that is not the government clamping down on them. It is a business making a business decision.
Well, just to finish what I was going to say before, I do think at times...
Sorry, we were going on and on and on like we do.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to get a word in edgewise once in a while. No, I was going to say, I think there is an element at this point of overcorrection, but I think that's necessary in the conversation ultimately, and it will...
That's how pendulums work.
Right. I don't know if you ever have one of those things on your desk where Yeah.
It doesn't
And,
just stop in the middle.
No. It's Newton's second law about inertia. But ultimately, these things will all shake out, or they won't, or the world will be destroyed, which is entirely possible at this point. But what is funny to me about it is that because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think cancel culture is a right-wing talking point.
Yes,
it is. And yes,
that is a thing that they are weaponizing. In other words, I mean, we just saw the whole list of companies that the former guy wanted everybody to boycott, which is basically the same thing as what they're saying cancel culture is. What
I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was also watching today. I mean, it's not funny. It's fucking horrific. The whole Matt Gaetz thing. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But, that's his whole take is they are trying to, not only are they trying to cancel me, but it's like he was speaking at a luncheon for conservative women. And he was saying, number one, it is the lying, like everybody has their talking points lined up. It is the lying media. Nothing you are hearing is true.
Sure.
Whatever they're saying on that Long Shot podcast about how the publisher canceled it, that's their interpretation. That's not true. And then he was saying there's also the deep state that's coming after me. So that's point number 2 is there are operators in the Department of Justice who are after me. And then the third point, which
what
is
an ego to think that everyone is like working together just to target you.
But this is where the ego goes away. And this is what makes it brilliant is, and by the way, they're not coming after me. They're using me to come after you.
Oh,
that's who they're really going after. That's who they're really trying to silence. That's who they're really trying to cancel is you and your voice. They're going after you by saying that I fucked a 17-year-old girl and transported
which
her
I definitely did.
Plus,
they're after you for that.
Plus, take away your guns.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess I just feel like and what's I hate to admit it, what's fucking brilliant about that is people will shell out money for that. Like you said, it's like a badge of honor, and it makes people more money to say everybody's against me than to say like maybe I shouldn't have said that thing.
One good news story out of this week was people there was reporting on how much bilking of Trump supporters there's been in the last 4 months since he lost the election. Because
even before the election was over, it was fundraising emails during the campaign that had pre-checked boxes that forced people who didn't notice.
If you didn't uncheck it, it made
that they would make a weekly contribution. I mean, it's so crazy.
Now I'm riled up, but I want to add this to the cancel culture thing. I grew up generationally when cancel culture was first called political correctness. And I'm seeing, look, I've now just lived long enough that I'm seeing it happen again, which is the status quo will take people getting upset about something, they'll label it as that's the problem. And instead of like, that thing hurts my feelings as this identity. Right. So could you please stop saying it? And now I'm the problem for even voicing that. Cancel culture has always existed, but it's existed for the status quo, and it's called discrimination. That's discrimination. Is
okay, we're telling some truth.
But that's sooth, baby, sooth. But I mean, that's people not getting a job because of their race, or whatever it was that was non-white male. That's being canceled for being who you are, and so that to me is. It's like if you're angry about cancel culture, then ultimately you have to ask the person, are you angry about anyone expressing opposition? Because that's all this conversation is. It's people expressing opposition to something. When
I disagree.
When the resistance does it against the status quo, then it becomes a problem, right? They are not allowed to get angry and express that anger. So
look, let me just say this. I don't agree with Joe. I agree with everything that Amber said. Okay.
Perfect.
And also, I will say about cancel culture. Look, you know who was a victim of cancel culture? The thing is, cancel culture. You can learn. Like, okay, look, two guys, a girl, in a pizza place canceled. That's cancel culture, right? But if they had changed
he's a movie star now.
If they had made it two
Sean
pizza places
every
or
episode,
three guys, you know, I just think they could have learned from their mistakes and they wouldn't have had to be canceled. Let's make it two pizza places. Let's make it three guys. Let's make it two girls
and a Mexican place.
Great, I love it. Let's diversify. You know, and then all of a sudden we're not canceled.
But you know.
Okay, so here's Eben's PS, which is tell Jamie that the fans say. I love that he's speaking for the fans.
I thought it was gonna be like, I'm Woody Allen's #1 fan.
It's just not the same when he misses the show. I'm sure he's busy, but the fans need him there whenever possible.
All right.
It's funny because we had a conversation about that this week. Well, we didn't really have a conversation. I talked about it this week, and I basically said exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. But he's also like, he
has shit to do.
He's doing his thing.
We're gonna just
so you're gonna have a bunch of lame-o episodes with just me, Amber, and Joe. Sorry. All right. Well, let's take a break, and then we will be back with a segment on the show that we like to call Checking In.
Oh my God.
Wow. Can we just do more mailbag? See you guys soon.
Hey, everybody, it's Sean. You are listening to The Long Shot. It's a podcast. It would really help us out if you could go to iTunes and rate our show. I believe they have a 1 to 5 star scale. It would help us more if you gave us a 5 and less if you gave us a 1. Somewhat if you gave us a 3, 2 or the 4. You can figure out how the numbers work. Also subscribe and write a review if you're so moved, or even if you're not moved. Now's not a good time to move because my understanding is that. All right, folks, back to the show. We're back. You are listening to The Long Shot. It is a podcast, sort of a new technology that people have adopted in the last several years. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. I would have to assume that at some level you must be, otherwise you would have turned this off by now. And if you did, you're probably not listening to this.
Probably mention Jason Bateman again. If you're like on one of those Jason Bateman Reddit boards or something.
Right. So we always like to start the show with Joe and Amber rambling about things. So let's find out.
This is the runner of the episode.
What's going on with Joe? Amber, checking in, Joe. What's going on?
Amber, let's take it away.
Joe, checking in.
This week.
How was the duel?
Okay. Let's start by saying this. This week felt like an upswing. You know, when some weeks it's just a little bit more, the energy is up, there's a little more momentum, some positive changes.
Love that movie, Momentum.
The headaches have now completely gone away. The head pain.
Did you Google that?
And, well, I did Google something. And I
bet you did.
I really don't go a day without Googling, to be honest. The gum pain and tooth pain that was happening on this side of the mouth. So I went online, and I've done this before, but I just needed to refresh my memory. Home remedies for tooth pain. And one thing that I've done that I think works great, and then I added a little something this time, was what I do is I take a tea bag, steep the tea bag and then I put it in my mouth by where the pain sore gum area is, and I just kind of, and I just kind of hold it. It's like chaw, but it's a tea bag, and the tea is supposed to be good for.
And the warmth is
the warmth and the tea
and the paper
helps the inflamed area. But one thing I added this time, which I loved, and it made it like it felt better faster, was I would then dunk the tea bag in olive oil, because olive oil is also very soothing. So I put this oily tea bag, and by the way, with olive oil, thanks to my buddy Kenny, and I had that. I did that for the last
milk and sugar, or no?
I don't drink the
probably
tea.
Not sugar. It's probably a bad bet with the tea stuff.
I just kind of wet the bags, get them hot, and then I was dunking them in, and I cut off the tops, because they're old Lipton tea bags that have a little metal staple where the string is. So I cut the top off, and then I do a little fold into a point, and then I fold down one more.
Keep going.
And I make this little kind of pellet of tea bag, and that's what I shove in.
You lost me, but great.
Gums, and that's been helping. So the other thing that made this whole week feel different was I got my first shot. There was no duel. There was no face-off. There was no standoff. No firefights. No sword fights. No disputes over honor. I lucked out, I guess. And I went in. Now, here's the thing, Sean. I did not go Monday morning for a reconnaissance mission.
For you.
Why? Because I was lazy and had fallen asleep at 5:30, and I didn't want to get up to get there at 10 o'clock.
Do you feel like a reconnaissance would have made a difference?
Well, not really. But what I did was I was like, I'm going to get there 5 minutes early, because I think I can still.
You didn't walk in and they didn't go, you know where to go, right, sir? They told you where to go, yes?
You know what? First issue. No clear signage for anyone coming in for the vaccine. Because I walked in, I got there a little early, because I was like, I know I can do my reconnaissance fast. And I walked, and the first aisle, the makeup aisle, totally empty. So I made a beeline. No people, right? Just want to avoid people.
No people.
No people. It's like no whammies, no people.
Just bees.
And I walk down there, and I get to the pharmacy section in the back, and there's nothing that says, if you vaccination appointments, nothing. I'm looking around, and there's nobody there. But I can see, how in the pharmacy they always stand behind the wall where you can't see them, unless they're at the windows. They're like, they bunch up in the middle. So like I kind of,
when I worked at a pharmacy, I used to hide behind the wall just so I could jack off.
He lifted the wall.
Yeah.
I peeped kind of around, and they saw me, and I said, I'm here for my vaccination appointment. And they said, oh, go down to that window. So I went down to that window.
And it's not even really a window. It's just a counter where you're at a different part of the counter, right?
Different part of the counter, but with the big plastic, and they said, we're just a little behind. So it's just going to be a couple minutes. Just a couple minutes. You don't want to
hear that.
And that was enough for me to start sweating. To start sweating. And I hate when I know how much I'm sweating. And it's like a flop sweat. Any performer, when you're bombing, you've had a flop
Well, you
sweat.
have like bubble wrap around your face and a hoodie and a hat.
I'm wearing the hoodie. I have the multi-foam layer bulwark, like anti-coronavirus.
That's going to make you sweat.
Yeah. Fiberglass insulation wrapped a foot deep around, like that pink stuff that looks like cotton candy everywhere.
It does get to an extension in front of my face.
Snorkel coming up from the middle.
A rhino snout. It looks like a snout. Does it look like
one of those plague doctor masks?
It's not as long as the beak, the plague doctor leather beak mask, but it looks like a rhino.
Sir, are you here for the vaccination or the orgy?
Little of both.
I'm gonna need you to lift up your sleeve and eyes wide shut, please. Thank you. And so I go to the other window. So they say, yeah, you got to wait a little bit. Okay. It's 10:03, you know? So I'm like, all right,
Oof.
okay.
Don't like the looks of that.
But I use the time. I'm like, okay, just think about what you're going to do. Be productive. You're going to buy some stuff. So I was like, I'm going to buy stuff for the tooth stuff, for my tooth situation.
Tea or something else?
No, I'm going to buy medicine. Like I'm going to buy stuff for pain. And I think about that, and then boom, hey, guy pops up. We're ready. Takes me into a room.
10:04.
Takes me into a room and sits. Says, "Why didn't you fly here?" He takes me into a room, sits down,
kisses
and
you.
He says, "Will you be my friend?" So it's just him and me in the room. I lift up my sleeve. And and he's explaining. I lifted it very slowly. I lifted it up, like, check this out, right? And
which brand are you?
Moderna. Which company? Moderna, and it was.
I think it's actually called Modern A.
Modern. Sorry. But what happened was, of course, as he's explaining, because I was like, I don't know what the communication is going to be like, because it really gets so muffled. So he goes, we just need you to stay within the store for 10, 15 minutes afterwards, right? The post injection wait. And I'm like, okay. And there's nobody else there. So there were 2 chairs outside this room, but nobody was waiting.
No people.
Thankfully, a few people in the store, but it's a big store.
Fucking bees everywhere. Just in lines going back and forth. And one bee is going, are we in line or online?
How many items do we have?
Those are my bee puppets.
Will they let us get away with this?
Does the manager said care? One sentence, which is impressive.
They're fucking bees. They work together. Like, once you're not the queen, you just are on board with everybody else all the time.
What's this?
The collective consciousness.
A bee yawning.
Ah.
All right. So watch the video on YouTube. So he says, I'm going to need you to wait in the store. And I say, oh, that's fine, because I'm going to buy some stuff. I'm going to buy some stuff.
And he's like, oh, you're not allowed to do that.
And he
or he's like, sir, you don't have to pretend with me. I know why you're
No.
Like,
no. And then he goes, oh, I wouldn't do that.
What?
I wouldn't do that. So I'm like, I'm sorry, excuse me? And he goes, yeah, I mean, with the neighborhood and everything, you should probably lock up your bicycle. And I...
Oh, no.
So then I had to yell through my multi-foam layers. I said, buy some stuff, not bicycle. And he goes,
no, I understand, sir. I understand there's no icicles here. And it's the wrong time of year for that. And it rarely happens in LA.
We don't sell icicles, sir. We have ice. We don't have ice, not in the form of ice.
I wouldn't recommend it.
So
of course, it's easier on a tricycle. You have an extra wheel for balance.
Wacky sitcom miscommunication moment. I go back out. I get the stuff, and I just wanted to say, so I get one specific thing. I got a Crest mouthwash, and it's clinical. I saw clinical on the bottle. That's what got me to buy it. I knew I had to splurge.
You fell for the marketing.
I fell for the marketing.
No. Clinical. That means like from a clinic. That's good. It's
good. Like if a doctor said, you know what, you should buy this one. And I did. And I've been using it. And the gum pain is going away. It's the best it's been today. I'm on the upswing. I'm healing. I feel like I'm physically healing. And that's...
Did you have any reaction to the shot?
No reaction to the shot. I immediately got home and showered and forgot about the Band-Aid completely. And so then there's nothing. I hate the image of any Band-Aid, but when it's not on a person. But I finished the shower.
It was a great concert.
I stepped out and there was a Band-Aid floating in the water. It doesn't drain. Remember, the hair doesn't drain that fast. So I had a floating Band-Aid in the water, which just looked so gross. But I totally washed off the Band-Aid. Didn't really have any soreness in the arm. Was a little tired, but I'm always a little tired. I always feel like I'm a little tired. I mean, how can you tell when you fucking sleep like 10, 12 hours a day? So I think that I'm doing fine. And it just felt good. It just felt good after the last couple weeks, where I just felt like everything was falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
It just
There's
started to
hope.
feel like there's hope. I'm kind of I'm not feeling as bad. I'm just physically, I just felt stronger.
It was like once upon a time you were falling in love and now you're only falling apart. But now you're back together and your tooth feels better.
It's like a total eclipse. And I think
I
that
don't get that.
Of the heart, total eclipse of the heart.
Not following.
So, by the way, I'm doing the same thing that Thunder Force did last night, which was like a lot of the jokes were like when people start singing a song from like the 90s. I'm not that reference kind of joke thing, where it's like, oh, they start singing Kiss from a Rose, and it's like you have to think that, oh, the way these two people are singing it right now, it's freaking hilarious. Remember that song? It didn't really work. It doesn't really work. Anyway, but that's what I was saying. Total eclipse of the heart. I feel ready.
We actually all got it.
Didn't care. Oh, you did get it. You did get it. Okay.
No, I was just saying once upon a time you were falling in love. Now you're
he was the one doing the lyrics, it feels like. And
it's just a random conglomeration of words.
I never know with Sean. I never know with Sean. Because I don't. In some ways, I trust him as a friend. In other ways, as a podcaster.
Wow, you don't feel safe.
Is this at the safest space?
Joe, can I just say Joe is trying to cancel me right now, and I don't appreciate it.
You're gonna make $1 million.
So I'm feeling much better. The writing is going great. I'll just wrap up by saying we are at the point where it happens many times with scripts, jabber, that
turns out it's 11 acts.
It's gonna be 5 more pages than we wanted it to be, and it's okay.
Reasonable.
I think I had put in my head such a target of like, can't go past this. We're gonna go past it. We'll do a pass. We'll edit it, but we, of course, we agreed. Hey, we'll send it out a little long. That's what feedback is for. Use that, make some cuts, get it down. But
dear Joe, here's my feedback. Too long.
5 pages too long.
It's like Sean's. It's like Sean's cross-country drive. We are so close. We're so close to the end. Like, we're so close. And every scene that's left, which is maybe about 5 scenes, it's a very important scene. It's everything we've built up to. So we've noticed how we've kind of slacked off a bit. We're still productive. We still talk about things that we have to write for like
but there's a lot of pressure on this last part.
But we know we have to nail this landing, and it took us a few days to write one scene, but we finally finished it on Friday. It's that last, like, just get it over the finish line, but we're pushing through. This week felt better, and I'm glad to share that with you.
I also feel like if you're in the last few pages, you're done. But like, in other words, if people have read up to there, they're not going to you just be like, hey, you want to get out of here? Let's take off. The end. Roll
Imagine
credits.
Finishing a pilot with, if you'd like to know how this ends, call this number. Mm-hmm. Email me here. What a power play that would be.
Right, just to like this PO
one of them goes, so anyway, I'm glad this all worked out, blah, blah, blah. See you later, Bob.
You get it. You guys get it. You can piece it together.
And then the Warner Brothers logo comes on and it focuses in and he just gives a Jason Bateman.
That's not all, folks.
Well, that's good. So you're finishing the script. That's good. Anything else you want to go on and on about?
No, you know what? Today I really actually want to try to not be the guy who just railroads everyone off the podcast track. So I'm just going to shut up finally, because I think that the problem is if you end up talking too much, is that people don't have a chance to say what they want to say, and then
Amber checking in.
Or are you part of the solution?
What's going on?
It's like a total eclipse of the heart.
Well, I have to address the elephant in the room. I think the last weekend, the stress that I endured going to a vegan, gluten-free, soy-free bakery has manifested itself on my face. We see it. We're not like, it is what it is.
I actually can't see. Did you break out? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Amber.
a big cold sore.
Sean,
It's gross.
Sean, I didn't notice either. So I was
Well,
I was like elephant in the room. What is she talking about? Oh, okay. Well,
I was gonna disguise, but I was like, you know what? Let's go.
Yeah, when you said elephant in the room, I was like, here we go with the racism bullshit again.
it's just a little. I see a little.
What is it?
I see a little redness on your chin, Amber. That's all. That's kind of apparent.
All right. Let's
Yeah,
not.
definitely not
let's
noticeable. Yeah.
Okay.
Although, let me just. I'm blowing up the screen a little bit here.
It's cute. It's cute.
Oh my god.
Yeah. What are they? What is that?
Enhance.
Enhance. Thank you. Enhance.
But I have great news.
Oh boy.
Not to undercut other great news.
Not to come at.
But I got my first dose on Wednesday.
Yes.
It's such a relief. So a good friend.
This was earlier than you were supposed to get it.
Yep, I canceled my appointment. My appointment was for the 15th.
Okay.
This was a week and a day earlier, and it was Pfizer.
I believe it's actually called Pfizer.
But a friend of mine sent me an email saying, like, hey, I know that you're not vaccinated. A friend of a friend went to this site today to get their second shot, and they are begging people to come. They're saying, tell your friends. They have, 700 doses and less than a quarter appointments. So go. And
people were tweeting about Dodger Stadium. Same situation.
So I showed the email to Jeff, and I kind of thought he'd be like, oh, we have an appointment, or yeah, maybe we'll go later this afternoon. And he's like, put on your shoes.
Did he leap out? Did he leap out his seat?
I was like, should we eat lunch first? And he's like, no, get in the car.
We're doing this. Cut to the car peeling out.
I would like it better. I would like it better if this story took place on a bicycle built for two. Instead of getting the car that you guys got on your bicycle built for two and just pedaled off.
That would be adorable. Like a Miss Piggy Kermit situation.
Amber, did you like that?
We're turning left up here. Like you have to coordinate.
Did you like that response Jeff had of just like, boom, we're going?
Yeah, totally. And we both were at work. Everything's a little bit muddy and gray area working from home, but we're like, okay, this will be our lunch break. And we went to, it was behind the East LA courthouse.
Any vaccination story where you start to go with, it was behind.
Well, it was all outside, which I also loved. So we never were inside a building. But the waiting for it and
you didn't have to worry about the pharmacist jacking off behind the wall while you were
all right.
Demundo.
Okay.
But so we got there and I was like, everything looks familiar. Like the exit to the freeway looked familiar. Everything looked familiar in a way that I was like, why does this look familiar? And I realized, like,
I haven't been there in like a year.
Well, like, I had jury duty there.
Oh.
Like, I parked in the same parking structure and everything. And we checked in. There was like a standby area, and the people who had appointments were going right in and through. And we had to wait a little bit because obviously the people who had appointments had precedent. And there was one lady there because everyone was waiting in a line. And then there was just a lady in a chair sort of off to the side. So when we got there, we were like, are you in line or should we be behind you? And she's like, oh, no, I have an appointment at 1 p.m. They're going to call my name. That's what they said. And we were like, oh, okay. But everyone who came to the standby did the same thing with the woman. And then it was 1 p.m. And I'm like, we're not far away. We can see the people checking in who have appointments just check in and go right in. And again, we've talked about this on this podcast before. Like, I wish I wasn't aware, and I wish I wasn't like, that lady should just go check in again. Like I was like getting like anxiety about
it. You do something about that.
No, they're gonna call my name.
Well, I was like, it's not a spa. Like they forgot your name. They're very busy.
Go check.
Should we go call that broad's name? Nah, we got other people coming in.
And so I'm like getting anxiety about it, but I'm also like, it's not your problem. It's not your problem. It's not your problem. Like, please stay out of it. Please stay out of it. But then she gets on her phone because it's like 1:30 now. And she's like, I had an appointment. And like, this is what's wrong with the government. Like she like goes into all this. And I was like, I was losing my mind because I was like, there's a lot wrong with the government. Like, this isn't it. Like, this is going smoothly. You just need to check
You are the problem.
Yes, you just need to check in.
They should cancel the government. The government should be canceled.
But, so we, and then again, someone who's a rule follower and pays attention, it just like drives me up the wall. So finally the standby people were allowed to go to the next step, which was waiting in chairs instead of waiting under a tree. And we had to sit like single file. So we were in order. And so Jeff was behind me and it felt like we were in a roller coaster and that was fun. But even that, like people were like, I'll just sit here. And they were like, no, you need to sit behind the person in front of you. Like, do you think that everyone else just did that willy-nilly? Like, let's all not sit next to each other. I don't know. Because there's a second row once that row fills up, but people are like, oh, let's just sit like 3 to a person here. And it was like,
look,
no.
I don't want anybody doing this willy-nilly or helter-skelter, all right? Listen to this. It's not mumbo-jumbo, so pay attention.
It's not like a show. It's not like you're coming to see a show.
Right. Like they're putting us in a specific order for a reason.
Right.
And it felt like everyone who worked there was so nice and so clear. And so when people were still like, what do I do? I was like, just do what they tell you to do. And
do you think if you volunteered at one of those places, because that's been a big thing of getting volunteers, and you can get a vaccination shot if you volunteer there, do you think that would drive you crazy, Amber?
Yes and no.
Then you'd feel entitled to actually say something.
Right.
Like
I think it might actually make me feel better because I could be the one that's like, don't sit there, go check in. Right. Like, but just like seeing it and not having any power over it, it's like, just look that way. And there's a beautiful park behind the East LA courthouse. So it was like a nice day. We were there probably a total of an hour and 45 minutes, which sounds like a long time, but I know people who are in standby for like 4 hours, 5 hours. So it felt pretty quick and we got our shot.
It also feels like it's worth it to get the shot.
100%. At one point while we were waiting, I was like, Jeff, so like, when are we calling it? When are we just going back home? And he's like, oh no, we're getting it today. Like we're here. And I was oh, okay.
No, that happened when I was there. There was a guy in front of me and he got his shot and then he got another. It turned out he was getting 4 people's shots and then bringing them to them. Never mind.
I just had a total eclipse of my brain.
And yeah, so we got it. I kind of got emotional because it didn't seem like something that was going to happen anytime soon. And we were able to make an appointment right there for our second shot. We're going back April 28th. And it's just like there's hope.
When you come back, sit under this tree in front of the person behind you and behind the person in front of you. And I missed a meeting. Like there was a meeting at work that I was like, I'm going to miss it. Take notes for me. It's going to be fine, I think. And no one was mad.
Any greater excuse right now than I'm getting vaccinated.
Totally.
Well,
so yeah, that was a big thing. And my arm hurt. And same thing as you, Joe, like that night I felt kind of tired and achy, but I couldn't tell if it was like me searching for symptoms or if it was true, but either way I took it easy, and my arm
it was so mild it felt natural.
Right. And just now my arm has stopped hurting. It was hurting for like a couple days.
Right.
When I told my dad, he was like, "Oh, you're supposed to," he's like, "I should have told you, but the first day you're supposed to move your arm back and forth like you're flossing." And I'm like, "Dad, how do you know what flossing is?" No, flossing is like the backpack kid dance.
Oh, like you're dancing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like he lives in the middle of the nowhere and he's in his 70s and he's like, he knows about flossing. I think that's awesome.
Like
anyway.
you're flossing your butt?
No, it's the dance is called flossing.
Like, yeah, like you like you're
sure.
Yeah, with a towel.
But yeah, that's my big checking in. I'll stop going on and on and on, Sean. Back to you.
What else?
I'm a bee, but also I'm a bee.
What else?
Well, we're almost at 2. So I feel like we should do parting shots at this point. So why don't we start today with Joe, parting shots.
My parting shot is as things start to transition and change and open up. I read an article that was someone just writing about how everyone is a different person now.
Whoa,
so deep.
Everyone is a different person now. You are not the same person you were
before we were a different person too.
in a unprecedented way.
Mm-hmm.
And it just reminded me, and I just wanted to share with the listeners that as you start to re-enter outside society, do it at your own pace. Go easy. Do it however works for you. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I have 3 things that I've thought now in my head of the 3 things I want to do once I'm vaccinated completely. One is I want to go to a mass at the cathedral, the LA Cathedral. I haven't been able to do that. I know that would mean something to me. It would mean a lot to my mother and my aunt particularly. But there are people at the services because I watch the online streaming service. And so there are people there. They can have a certain amount in the cathedral. So that's one thing. The second thing is I want to see my friend Matt, who also lives in downtown, my co-writer. He's not very far, and he just got his second shot, so he's going to be good to go in about a week or so. I get my second one the first week of May, and I just want to see him. I haven't done the park thing with a friend, Sean, like you've done, and like I've heard about it, and I want to experience that. I just want to be with a friend again.
It's real. It exists.
And I want to do it.
Don't believe Sean.
I'm not going to be wearing. I'm not going to be wearing my crazy mask contraption anymore. I'm going to be wearing a normal mask. I'll double up, of course, but it'll be one where I'm able to be heard and intelligible. And so it's Mass, CMAT, and the third one I forgot.
Now let me ask you this: how are you planning to do that? You said you wanted to share this with the listeners. How are you going to share this with the listeners?
No. I'm saying I'm sharing the advice.
What his wants are.
No. I was just sharing the advice of as you ease into it.
So some things you're sharing with the listeners, some you're not sharing.
No, I was.
Yes or no?
I wanted to share the advice of ease into it at your own pace. And my pace, for example, is 3 things that I can't remember the third. I guess it's not that important, but but those are
pace is not the same. So pace is how fast you're going to do these things, or no?
I'm not going to. If I do those 3 things within the first couple weeks, I will feel okay. That's what I'm telling myself.
I mean, mass, you can't go at your own pace. You have to go at the pace that they do the mass at, right?
I will go to a scheduled mass, but maybe I might walk to the church and spend some time sitting in there if that's allowed, but in quiet meditation. But the reason
not
why
prayer, though.
The reason why I was trying to think of the things I want to do, obviously everyone's seen on social media the joke of, oh, the first thing I'm going to do when I get vaccinated. I was trying to think what's are the joke I want to do. Well, it's crazy things, whatever, it's crazy things. So
the first thing I'm going to do when I get vaccinated is get the vaccine that I didn't get for shingles before all this.
the thing that I wanted to tell myself is to have some very specific goals of not staying inside. Because I know myself and I'm concerned that I will actually, I don't put too much pressure on myself. I put too little pressure on myself with a lot of things in life. So I was telling myself, have some specific goal. Oh, the third one, you know what? The third one is really just go to a supermarket and not, my friend Matt just did that. He said, I got my second shot. And on like the third day afterwards, I went to a supermarket for the first time. He has some underlying conditions. He's diabetic. He's played it very safe as well. But he was like, I'm going to go to the supermarket and I'm just going to try to do a normal thing like shop and not be racked with anxiety. So
Let me ask you this. Could you go to the supermarket that Matt goes to when he's going to the supermarket? Two birds, one stone.
Yep.
And
then go to church.
We do a grocery trip together. A grocery trip together. Yeah, and then take him to church. Hey, that sounds like a great day. So anyway, as things start changing and we all have to shift into what seemed like our lives before all of this, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Give yourself some manageable goals. It's a lot of the same shit we talk about on the show, but we're all going to be going through it. So, but hopefully we'll have some more interesting checking ins in the next few months. We still have the mailbag. I really thank you everyone for your mail. That's my parting shot of my parting shot. Thank you everyone for listening.
Checking in, Amber.
No, not checking in. Parting shots. Kind of on the similar vein, getting that first shot and having the second shot scheduled, and it's just like hope is in the horizon. It's Jeff and I have started scrambling to fully decorate our house so that we could have people over in a month, maybe,
right, a small gathering,
right,
vaccinated people,
and just like, I should start being presentable. I should start remembering how to look like a person and like dressing and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting.
I just went to get my mic and headphones out of the car while we were getting ready to do the show because I'd forgotten them in there. And do you guys like walk around? Like I walk down to the garage in my PJs. Like I feel like that's just completely normal at this point.
I only am outside. I basically, for the past year, have been outside in the same exact outfit because I put on my workout pants, an oversized hoodie, a hat, a mask, sunglasses, and running shoes. But like, that is all. Like that is what
you're like outside uniform.
Yeah,
right.
And it's not the sexiest. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, I just have plaid slippers on.
Yeah, by the way, Sean wears like 50s style matching pajamas.
Well, my pajamas are pretty great. They're actually, the pattern is dogs riding narwhals at war with cats riding unicorns.
That is cute.
Whoa.
And the dogs are holding flags that have a cat on them with a circle around it with a line through it, and the cats are holding flags.
This is elaborate.
Hey,
it's pretty great.
Could we have listenership? Please respond online and say how much you would like Sean to wear that for the next recording of the podcast. Because now I really want to see that.
I'm wearing them right now. I have. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I walk around.
Could you like lift a leg or something?
I don't have the top. There's no top to it. It's just.
Oh.
We got to work on your flexibility.
Bottoms? It's just bottoms.
Cute.
Oh, hello, little blue. Yeah, nice.
Those are fun.
Plaid slippers. Oh my God, I pulled something I can't move.
I know. I was about to say that might have been the most you've ever stretched during a show.
Oh my God.
I bought online a bathing suit. Like that's my like
summer 2020.
Someday I will do something. Oh, and I have a trip planned.
Okay.
In November, the end of November, Tim, who looks like Jason Bateman, he's turning 40.
Handsome fuck.
Yes. And his daughter is turning 5, and he now lives in New York, in upstate New York, but they're coming out to celebrate his 40th birthday. This is the plan, if everything's safe and it feels normal, and like renting a house in Palm Springs. And I'm like, yes, I'm there. I can't wait. So,
Amber,
plans in November.
I'm possibly planning a trip in June.
I thought Joe was going to say, I might be in Palm Springs at the same time. Is that cool?
I've been vacationing there for the last 20 years. I'm thinking of possibly going back to Phoenix in June for my birthday.
Great.
To see my
mom and your family. Yeah.
I'll be fully vaccinated. They'll be fully vaccinated. I think I'll probably order a face shield for the flight. I think I want to make sure that I've seen people post photos of themselves at airports, and they're like, I want to get a good N95 mask. I want to feel like I'm safe enough. But at that point, I think I will be okay with getting on a plane for like an hour. It's just like an hour flight, so it's not very long.
It's all of ours.
I might do that.
Okay, what else, Amber?
No, nothing. I'm not talking anymore.
I don't know. I feel like that wasn't enough.
It was.
You're not at a loss for words, are you, Sean?
Me? No. I mean, I don't really get to say much on this.
Poor Sean.
Did we have extra sad music at the end, Aaron, of this episode?
What do I want to say as my parting shot? I mean, I have a lot to talk about. I have like another 45 minutes. I don't know. I was thinking about the friendship stuff, that came up earlier. And I think it's important to pay attention to that stuff. I did this whole podcast last year about happiness, and the without going into too much detail, there is this study that I looked at that was a longitudinal study, which means over time they paid attention to a bunch of people, and they kind of narrowed down what made people feel like their lives were happy to about 7 different things. And one of the things was relationships with other people.
It's about relationships.
Yeah. And
friends you made along the way.
I look at people like my parents who are older now and who are lucky enough to have people that they have kept in touch with. And I know that's not true for everybody, They had a friend who came over, I think yesterday or the day before, who moved out of the place she lived in their town into an apartment in New York City, like a new place, New York City, didn't know anybody there, and came to visit, and I think stayed for like 8 hours, because my sense was that she was just lonely and didn't have people around to talk to. And especially that's, obviously that's worse right now because of the whole pandemic thing, but even without that,
it's a tough time to make new friends for sure.
Certainly. But I do feel like it's a good thing to be aware of and be conscious of cultivating those things. Mm-hmm. Like, I was really glad that I got to see the people I got to see while I was back in New York. This thing I read about this study, which was sort of it was a thing in a magazine. It was like what do you call it? Where they have a thing. It's like the study is a thing, but then in the magazine they have a thing they wrote about it.
Article?
Yeah, it was an article. The end of the article was they asked the guy who was now in charge of the study. He wasn't in charge of the study at the beginning. This thing started in the 1930s. It's
longitudinal.
Yeah, I mean, it's for like 90 years they've been following these people. So they said to him, like, could you sum this all up in like a sentence? Yeah, like what would you say? And he just said happiness.
A nugget, a boba.
Yeah, it's really what it was. He said happiness is love, full stop. And I feel like that is something to keep in mind. So
yeah.
That's my parting shot.
Hey, love you, brother.
And that goes out to April and Eben. And of course, the show, Jamie's not here, which, as Eben pointed out, the show kind of sucks when Jamie's not here.
Sorry, Eben.
I'm glad that Eben wrote in to tell us that he was not going to criticize us anymore.
I don't remember the criticisms.
I don't either, which is actually probably good because I feel like me personally,
I would hold on to it,
are the kind of people who would remember that and be like, oh, this person thinks I'm this or that or this other thing or that is what they think I am or they think I'm other things, So anyway, that's it. That's all we got for today. Joe, parting shots. Yes.
Yeah, my second parting shot is.
Oh boy. You had like 11, so this would be like your 12th, I think.
My second parting shot is one.
Does this guy ever stop? Not really. Why are we not in line?
You are a good writer. Hey, you bees, shut up. I just watched the episode of The Fly on Breaking Bad. So good. Two things. One,
a bottle episode. That's called.
Correct. Sean is a very good writer. Sean, I don't know the last time you wrote a play. But the scene,
I don't know if I've ever written a play.
The scene between you and the loneliest cop in Illinois sitting in a car, that's a great two-person play. That is, that scene to me.
Could it be a short film?
It could be a short film. It could be a great short film. That's exactly what shorts are for. That kind of moment. It's so charged. Anyway,
funny.
And two, I love.
Can you come with me into the car, please, sir? Can you get in my cruiser?
I love you, Sean. I love you, Amber. I love you.
I love you guys.
I love, if happiness is love, we love our listeners, and I love doing the show, and I'm glad we're doing it again. All right, I'm done. All right, I'm done.
I have one more thing, which is, can we uncancel Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place?
Now that's what we should end on.
See you next time, folks.
Bye,
everybody. We love you.
A wink.
And what you're gonna have to tell me is we're not playing anymore. In all truth, I hate to lose you, but I've lost this way before, and it's hard to let you know that it's hard to let you go. But just don't try to say I didn't try to tell you so.